Today we're making creamy spinach and mushroom tortellini with caramelized onions. To start, we need 2 large onions. I'm using Vidalia onions. You can use white ones, you can use yellow ones. The recipe calls for yellow onions. And in our skillet, we want to preheat 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I preheated my skillet over medium heat until I was ready to put my onions in, and our onions we are just going to slice thinly. The recipe says to heat the oil at medium-high heat, but if your onions aren't ready yet, like me, I'm preheating my skillet while I'm slicing onions. Your oil may start to smoke, so you can always turn it down if you're not ready to put your onions in yet. We're going to take our sliced onions and pop them into our skillet. Be careful, if your oil is hot, it might splatter when you pop your onions in there. So you're going to turn your skillet up to high heat. I didn't do this, I kept mine at medium high, and you're just going to stir them continuously for 10 minutes. You can do this with a wooden spoon, a spatula, but you want to stir them continuously because if you don't, they're going to burn. And we don't want burnt onions, we want nice, golden, sweet, caramelized onion. After 10 minutes, we're going to reduce our heat to medium, and we're going to continue for 10 more minutes of continuous stirring. Your wrist might get a little sore, but it's very important. We don't want burnt onions. Keep on stirring away. My smoke alarm went off because I even turned my range hood fan on because my pan was so hot, the oil was very smoky. I used light olive oil, but if there's another oil out there that has a higher smoke point, maybe go ahead and use that. But luckily my reflexes were to turn the heat off while I was tending to my smoke alarms to get those to turn off, or else we would have had some burnt onions. At the point when you turn your heat down to medium, here you want to sprinkle over your onions a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Keep on stirring for 10 more minutes. Once those 10 minutes are up, you can turn your heat down to low and continue stirring for 10 more minutes. These are the last 10 minutes. I know it's a lot, but it's so worth it. I think I cut my last 10 minutes a couple minutes short because my onions, as you can see, were a deep mahogany color, and I didn't want to get them too close to the burnt point. This may also vary slightly by how thin or thick your onion slices are. But once those are done, set your caramelized onion aside, and we are going to put 1 tablespoon of olive oil into that same skillet. Over medium heat, we're going to place 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms. The author of the recipe said that they use cremini mushrooms. I'm just using button mushrooms. We're going to sprinkle over a pinch of salt and cook those for about 5 minutes, stirring occasionally until they're soft and they're going to get a little bit of a golden color on them. At this point, I'm also going to start a pot of water so that can come to a boil and we can cook our tortellini. Next, we're going to need 8 ounces of fresh spinach. It is one of those big bags, and yes, we are going to fit it all in there. So you're going to start to put your spinach in your skillet on top of your mushrooms. Do this in batches because how much is in my pan right now is probably 1/4 to 1/3 of the bag. I also turned my heat down to low at this point, and finally I got all of the spinach into my skillet. And what helped me in wilting down my spinach and keeping it in my pan was scooping it towards the middle and then just keep working more spinach into your pan as what's already in there starts to wilt down. I knew spinach wilted down, but part of me was still surprised at how much we put in there and then how much it wilted down. But once your spinach is wilted, we're going to add back in our caramelized onions. Give those a mix in. And then we're going to add in 1 cup of heavy cream. It seems like a lot, but when you divvy it up into all the portions, you don't even have to worry about it. 1 cup of heavy cream, don't skimp on it. So stir that all in. And we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to this mixture. The original recipe says to bring it to a quick boil and then immediately reduce it to simmer, but I wouldn't bring it to a quick boil. I would just let it slowly come to a simmer, because if you guys have ever heated up milk or a milk product and you do it too quickly, you may have experienced that funky skin that forms on top, and that tends to happen with like cream dishes. So I don't think it's important to bring it to a boil. I think you can just slowly bring it to a simmer and get it heated through. I still have to cook my tortellini, so I'm going to turn the heat off of my skillet and pop a lid on it just until I can get my tortellini cooked. So once your water is boiling, we're going to add in 9 ounces of tortellini. You can use whatever flavor you want. I have 5 cheese tortellini here, and just cook those according to the instructions on your package. Mine were quick cook, they only took 3 minutes. Then go ahead and drain your cooked tortellini and add those right into our cream mixture. It's okay if you have a little bit of extra pasta water in there. It just adds a little bit to your cream sauce. And then gently fold your tortellini into your onion and mushroom and spinach mixture. You don't want to break up your tortellini. If you need to, you can turn your heat back on to low to make sure everything is heated through. As you can see, the steam on mine was good to go at this point still. So we're told to serve this with cracked black pepper on top. So I made sure to get some spinach, some mushroom, and some onion on my fork along with one of my cheese tortellinis for a taste test. And you can always add more salt. I had to add more salt to mine. It was perfect after that. Now, if you're not a super big spinach fan, it would be okay for you to add maybe only half the amount of spinach that this recipe calls for, but I think it was a good balance of spinach to tortellini in the end. I will leave the instructions down below in the show notes for you guys to check out, along with the link to the original recipe. If you guys liked this recipe, go ahead and click here right on screen and check out another one of the recipe videos that I have.